Hello and welcome to today's panel discussion. We're going to be chatting about book marketing. Today I have with me for this chat, which is actually part of the promo day event. If you haven't registered yet, then please do go over to www.promoday.info. It's completely free and there's a lot of activities and things going on all day, including free webinars, pitch sessions with publishers. There's also some giveaways, so you can get some free ebooks as well. My guest is going to tell you about those in a minute. But anyway, let's introduce you to my panel today. We've got Clay. Hi, Clay.
Hi, I'm Clay Gilbert. I am the author of a couple of books. Science fiction novel called Anna, Children of Avaway, Volume 1, and vampire romance called Dark Road to Paradise, which I don't happen to have a copy of. Both published by PDMI Publishing. I'm also the chief editor for PDMI Publishing. And here to talk to you guys about book promoting and whatever else comes up.
Excellent.
Glad to be here.
Okay. Also from PDMI, we have TC. Hi, TC.
Hi, Joe. Just want everybody to know, I'm TC, of course, as Joe just pointed out. And, we are a personal publisher, which is PDMI Publishing. Our mission, sculpting personal voices into print. And we can thank lovely Clay Gilbert for that nice little slogan logo there. We're here to answer any questions you may have regarding marketing or just book promotion. Here to help you out. So if you need anything, just let us know.
Excellent. And then, last but not least, we have Susie. Hi, Susie.
Hi, Joe. Hi, Clay. Hi, TC. Nice to meet you. I know Joe. We've done a couple of hangouts together, so this is just great fun. And I just came in the house and clicked on the internet, and there she was. I said, oh, good, get started. So as I said, I am the proud publisher of books. Twee. Where's Twee? Twee.
Oh, fabulous.
I am Twee. And Twee for two. And I wrote those children's books because I like to illustrate childhood to parents.
Did you do the illustrations too? They're awesome.
I also blog articles for parents. Parenting job. That's it.
Yeah, Susie's books are great. I've actually read them all, and my kids love them too.
Now I have to get them.
Reply to your question, answer that for you, Clay. No, she didn't do the illustrations. They were done by Joe. Is it Joe? Who's your illustrator? Susie? Oh, she's frozen up.
Oh, you're talking to me.
Yes,
Joe,
illustrator.
wait a minute. Joe. No, I can't remember his last name. Joe
Ackman. Is that
Joe
right?
Einstein was my illustrator.
Joe Ackman. I remembered it was Joe because he had the same name as me. But he does really good work. But anyway, okay, in this chat, we're actually going to be talking about book marketing. Now, you guys all have different experiences and things. I just wanted to see, like, what do you think authors consider, like, the hardest part of marketing? What's, like, the most difficult thing to overcome?
Setting up.
Did you say setting up, TC?
Setting up social media.
Social media. In general, or do you think, like, some social media channels are harder than others to sort of get your head around?
Well, I don't think it's any harder than any other one. What I think the problem is when an author signs up, they really don't follow through with a lot of the ones they've already signed up with. They don't give it enough time to learn, each individual platform. I think it's, a rather we all have like 10-second lifespans, when it comes to, trying something new. We've got to get it the attention the general attention of the public's like 10 seconds. If you can't win them over then you know it's going to be very hard to teach them anything or show them anything. So when it consists, so when you set up something in social media, say Facebook, for example, if it's not immediate action and you're not seeing anything, but you're still signing up, they're not going to go back.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I always say that like publication and marketing is a marathon, not a sprint.
That's right.
Think you're going to go in and it's all going to happen like that, then you've got like totally the wrong idea. And as far as like signing up with social media accounts goes, I mean, I'm on a lot of social media, but then I'm a complete social media junkie, so I'm like, it goes back. But even though I do post frequently to all of my social media sites, but there are some sites, for example, that I spend more time on. I spend a lot of time on Facebook, but then Facebook, because of the nature of it, that's a lot of messaging with like family and friends that doesn't have any like direct link to I'm marketing my book. Because if you actually go into Facebook and the marketing you do on your Facebook page, like when I look at my stats for social media for months, Facebook is never the first place. In fact, it's always Twitter. Twitter is like the bomb. Twitter is, all authors should be on Twitter. But
yes, agreed.
A lot of them don't.
That's true.
Like most authors, I think if you say, oh, have you got social media presence? They will say, yes, I've got a Facebook page. And you say, well, why? Like, why not Twitter? Why a Facebook page? That with the Facebook algorithm, even if you have like 2,000 people who have liked your page, when you put a post out, maybe 5 people will see it in their news feed because of the Facebook algorithm. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing to have a Facebook page. I mean, I have a Facebook page and I post to it daily because it does get interaction on it. But when I post to Twitter, I get immediate retweet. I get people clicking on my links that go to my books. I get people buying my books. I get people sharing testimonials about me, you know, saying that they like my content, that, you know, it's a big interaction and things, and you're getting solid results because of it.
Wow.
Something I don't see on Facebook. So I don't know. I mean, do you guys have the same thing? I mean, Susie, what social media channels are you on?
I have a Facebook page. I also have Twitter. Actually, I have 2 accounts on Twitter, but I'm focusing mostly on one. And I agree with you, Joe. I think most of the action has occurred through Twitter. But when I set up posts, I set them up to be able to function in Twitter and in Facebook.
I try to do that too.
Yeah, up until recently, I haven't been able to spend that much time being social on Facebook, so I've had to really set my posts to do both. I'm also finding a lot of interaction on Pinterest, but I haven't figured out how to do brand new stuff on Pinterest. But I have discovered you can really gain a lot of followers just by repinning. And there's good stuff there.
Pinterest is awesome. Pinterest is the easiest site to get followers on. The easiest out of all of the social media sites. Pinterest is super easy to get people to follow you on, because all you have to do is put one pin out there that they like, and they will follow you, whether they're following just that specific board or whether they're following you for all of your boards. But they will be seeing your content, and you know, if they keep going to the same board, then they might hop over later and follow all of your boards or whatever. Because also Pinterest, when it counts followers, they only count everyone who follows all of your boards. They don't count the individual boards as followers. So, for example, I have on Pinterest, I don't know, I've got like 300 or so followers that follow all of my boards. But then I've got boards within that have like over 600 followers on them. So like you get a lot of action on it, and it's so easy to repin.
Are you writing a book on Pinterest next, Joe?
Yes, I am. It's
Yay!
in the making at the moment. I'm putting it in the last stages at the moment. How to be Pinterest perfect. So yeah, that's going to be coming out. That up. Yes, I will be teaching you all how to use Pinterest for authors in the very near future.
Wonderful.
Yes, totally. My presentation I take this year is all about visual content for authors. Because if you look at the statistics for social media over the past year, going back from like 2014, including 2015, the social media sites that have shown the most growth are those that are for visual content. We're talking Pinterest, Instagram has like exploded. Instagram is the fastest growing social media network of the year last year.
Yeah.
It like totally dominated. In fact, I joined only recently on Instagram, and when I look at my social media statistics for engagement and things like that, Instagram is one of my top sites. It definitely gets more than Facebook. I think I'm like Twitter, Instagram, and then maybe Facebook's after that, and LinkedIn and Google Plus are like down the bottom. That being said, Google Plus as well is good for different reasons. It's not so great for actual like interaction. Some people might like give me a slap for saying that, but Google Plus, I don't tend to like use it that much. But when I do, it's generally to sort of promote other content that I have out there, so like blog posts and things like that I've done, because it's really good for search results. Obviously, being property of Google, so all your Google Plus posts that are public actually show up really well in search results on Google as well, so you can get good friction from it. I mean, how many of you actually use Google Plus as like one of your main social media sites? Clay?
Not until today, but I will be advancing into that front here after today.
Oh, that's right, you're using Google Plus.
Yeah, today was my first initiation into all of that, but yeah, I'm going to start using it for sure. It's interesting, the comments you made about Pinterest were really interesting, because I hadn't really thought about that, the applications of that as a promotional tool. I use Facebook a lot. I use Twitter, thanks to this man right here, Mr. TC, because when I first got signed to PDMI, one of the things that TC said, and I remember to this day, was tweet to success. And yeah, Twitter definitely raises the profile of your work in the public eye. But I didn't think about Pinterest, and I'm going to have to start doing that. I have a couple of pages on Pinterest, but they don't really have much to do with my books. They have to do with just things I'm interested in. But yeah, I can see. Go ahead.
Though. I mean, I have lots of boards on my Pinterest which have absolutely nothing to do with books or writing or even marketing. It's just like random stuff that I like.
Yeah, I've got a whole page of like food and like pictures of sushi, and I've got a movie poster page with pictures of my favorite movies and that sort of thing. And I think I might have one page that has my book covers on it, but most of it's just random personal interest stuff.
Well, see, that's something
they like.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people get what book marketing, author branding, what it actually means. In fact, Tara Lazar, she made a good point in her webinar today at the event about the fact that networking is really just making friends. Author branding is not just, you don't go out there and say, buy my book. Because if you do, people are going to be a spammer and they're going to completely turn off, and you've just lost a potential.
No, absolutely. I agree with that. And one of the things I brought up in my webinar is that the main function of public events for an author is making a connection, a personal connection between us and our audience. It's not about buy my book or showing off my book. It's about telling my story, my personal narrative, not the one I wrote down in my books. And it's about hearing their personal narrative. And you make a connection between your personal story and their personal stories, and then they want to read your book.
Definitely.
Took me a long time to understand that. You know?
Element of, finding something that you have in common.
Right.
Because
exactly.
a lot of that, like with your author branding, what you're really doing is you're not marketing your books, you're marketing yourself.
Absolutely.
You're letting people know who you are as a person, what you're about, what you like doing, and that kind of thing. And if they like you, they trust you, then when you do mention that, oh yeah, I've got a book, then they're going to go and check that book out.
It took me a long time to realize that.
They know that you have similar interests and things, so you don't have to go for that hard sell.
I'm not, to be honest with you, I'm not sure that every new author who comes into the business has a good grasp of that. I know I didn't. I had no idea. I thought, okay, I've written a book and this book got published, and so these people are interested in my stories. They're not interested in me, but that's not true. And I'm not sure that a lot of people are aware of that. That's one thing that I would, if I were writing a bullet list of points I wanted to get across to new authors, I would say, your audience is concerned with you as much as the story that you wrote. And that's why social media is important. And that's why networking and not just talking about what you wrote is important. They have their stories and they want to know your story, not necessarily just the one you wrote down.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this is also like a lot of people say, what do I share about then? If I'm not meant to be saying buy my book all the time, what do I post to my social media accounts?
Anything that you're interested in, any little thing, because people like to know about other people. I mean, we're a culture who likes to know every little thing, sometimes even socially unacceptable things about one another, And if they can know every little thing about somebody that actually also happens to have a book out in the world, well, people want to know that stuff.
Yeah, that's why the people like the Kardashians have so much fame,
And I think I had an experience recently at a book signing in Chattanooga that kind of brought home to me the idea that the more that they can know that we are people too, the more it encourages people to think that they might be able to do what we do. I mean, I have people come up to me at a recent book signing in Chattanooga who, told me that they had always wanted to write a book, and talking to me kind of gave them the inspiration to do that. And it's not just the book thing, but if they see a person who appears to be a regular person just like them, and we are, who wrote a book, and if they've had the dream to write a book, maybe that one-on-one communication with us might help them to go and realize that dream that they have.
Definitely.
And that's another point I brought up in the webinar.
There are a lot of people out there. I mean, statistically, there is, I don't know what it's like, 30% of the population or something want to write a book.
Mm-hmm.
It's like there's that many people do, but most of those people won't.
Right.
They don't think that their idea is good enough, or they think it'll be too difficult to get published or whatever, and so they stop themselves from going for it. Right. And whilst I'm a self-publisher, and I'm fine with that, but there is also like self-publishing is not for everybody.
No.
Because you have to put out a quality book.
Sure.
In fact, now there is a big divide, I think, between self-published books, because there's quality self-published books that you can't really tell who published them, and then you have the other ones, which is the reason why there is a stigma attached to self-publishing.
Yes.
It is easy now to get your books out there regardless, but at the same time, I think you have to sort of be conscious of what you're putting out there. It might be easy, but maybe not everyone should do it.
It is about credibility. And in the self-publishing world, I would imagine you're even that much more in charge of your brand. And in a negative sense too, you can much more easily shoot yourself in the foot and damage your brand. But you can damage your brand in any front of the publishing business. And that's something else I don't think a lot of new authors are aware of now, is that self-promotion is essential. I know a lot of people who are in that category of I'd like to write a book or I'd like to publish a book who still think that once they write a book and it gets accepted by a publisher, that that publisher then does all the promotional work, and that's just not so. Not in today's world.
No, I mean, regardless of how you, whether you self-publish, whether you go with a small press, whether you go traditional, I mean, you can even be with the big five. You are going to have to do some marketing yourself.
Absolutely, and I think that's something that people need to be aware of. You can't just take their hands off and say, okay, my book's out there, now what? You know, time to write another book. No, you got to, write the other book, but while you're writing the book, you need to be conscious of what you have out there and keep it working. Keep people's awareness up.
Definitely. Okay, Susie, over to you.
Yes.
You have a series of children's books.
Yeah.
How are you published? Are you with small press, traditional, self-published? What way did you go?
I'm self-published, and I'd love to comment on the conversation that you've been having with Clay. Back when I began, I've been a psychologist for a while and a teacher before that, and when I thought to myself, I want to write children's books to illustrate developmental changes and so on in kids to help parents understand, I kind of thought of these 3 books that I wanted to write, and I wrote them, and I contacted some people, ghost publishers, who would help me to get the books out because I had no idea. You know, there's quite a process. Anyway, we got that done, but here's the thing. If anyone would have told me before I wrote the books and got them published that I was going to have to do all of my own marketing, all of the social media work, and so on, and what that actually involved, I would have never written the books. Now, having said that, I am not unhappy that I wrote them, and I'm now not unhappy that I'm doing the marketing. It has taken me 2 years to really, and I'm very type A personality, so understand when I said it took me 2 years, that probably somebody else could do it faster, but it took me a few years to figure out just exactly how to weave the posts and tweets and you know, Clay was talking about they're interested in anything. That's true, but you also have to kind of have, I don't know, the more that I post and tweet, the more I recognize that there is something about me that I'm really happy to present that I feel helps people out. And I think as we discover that, our brand becomes more and more clear. So I went self-published. I am now glad that I did. I think that people need to know that this is probably a lifelong endeavor. If you're going to get into social media, you're going to tweet, you're going to learn about Instagram, and everything keeps changing, so you have to keep learning these things. You're going to be quite involved in marketing your own book. I personally really don't want to spend a lot of time going places personally, physically. So the internet is really my avenue to network, connect with people, and get my name out.
I love personal appearances, but the internet is great too.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, that's right. Clay does a lot of actual in-person stuff.
Yeah.
Don't you, Clay? You go to conferences and things like that. Lots of book signings.
Yeah, and the last, I'd say in the just about 2 years since I've been professionally published, I have done probably close to a dozen book signings, maybe about 8 or 9 convention appearances, and prior to that, I've always been since I was 10 years old, I've been attending science fiction conventions and things like that, so I had a background in convention attending anyway, and it's just great. It's particularly the convention scene allows you to break down the wall between you and the audience, and you get to mingle with people. I mean, I got to sit with Stephen King back when I was 12 years old in a hotel restaurant and learn about writing. You know, at that point I was just writing what would become my first novel-length manuscript, which turned into one of those things that you just have to write so you can go on and write something good. But still,
Oh,
you know, King told me a lot of things, and he didn't have to sit there with a 12-year-old kid and talk to me about writing like I was somebody who was serious, which I was. And I guess he recognized that. I don't know. The internet is wonderful, but there's no real substitute for one-on-one contact between you and the people that you're trying to make contact with. At least for me, I love getting out in the public and talking to people. I like
Well,
that.
I'm now officially jealous. I have writer jealousy of you with your Stephen King story. That's just like awesome. I think pretty
He was
much
great.
any writer, regardless of what you write, if you had the opportunity to sit down and chat writing tips with Stephen King, you'd be like,
Hey, Pete.
You would be surprised. Initially coming from the academic world, I mean, I spent a lot of time in graduate school and in a lot of formal schooling and stuff like that. And in that world, you mentioned Stephen King, and because of the popularity of his work, people tend to look down on the quality of his work. They don't realize that the man is very dedicated to the craft. I mean, his book on writing, a memoir of the craft, is something that I've recommended as an English professor. I mean, I've also taught English on the college level, and I recommend it to my writing students because it is a fabulous book. I mean, they don't realize that just because the guy has sold a lot of books and he writes about horror stuff, dude is seriously dedicated to being a writer. And I don't know, I think we live in a culture where there is a certain small niche of people that think if you make a lot of money doing something, you must not be very good at it. And it used to be the other way around. It used to be back in the, 100 years ago or so, if you were a craftsman, you earned the right to make a living because you were good at what you did, and people don't view it that way anymore. If you make a lot of money, you must be a hack, and I don't understand that. But anyway,
yeah,
it's a tangent.
that's
Same
very.
way.
TC, you're back.
I am back.
We lost for a bit there. Welcome back. Now, TC, I just wanted to we're talking about social media marketing and in-person events and things like that as well. What about email marketing? Okay, now email marketing is something that, it's sort of been put on the back burner. It's kind of like old school. But I've also been looking at statistics and things, and, if you can actually build an email list, then, that's not a bad thing because you've got dedicated readers there, and you don't have the risk of also, for example, with the algorithms changing and them not seeing your posts even if they've liked your page. I mean, what do you think? I mean, you've got like the whole publishing company, so you're dealing with lots of different authors and things. I mean,
Correct.
How much do you guys think about email marketing?
Well, email marketing for us is a win-lose situation. So basically what it is you can put up your newsletter, and say, hey guys, join up, and you can say that all day long and nobody will sign up. However, if a lot of people don't want to fill out their simple email address to get started, so we found a very useful tactic is we take all of our friends and the people who look into us, we contact them individually, one by one, and we ask them, hey, would you like to subscribe? We got news, we got deals, everything like that, and they say yes, and it gives us permission to put them in our our mailing address list for email blast. And we found out that works a lot better than asking them to sign up because it's just too much trouble for them.
Yeah, that is good because then you've got that first contact with them before. It's not just filling out a form online. You've actually got that first contact.
Exactly.
What about you, Susie? Do you use email marketing at all?
I want to. I took a course. I'm all ready to go, but I haven't been keeping it up.
Yeah, I have to say I'm guilty of the same thing. I did start a newsletter several years ago now, and then it kind of dropped off the radar because I had so many other things going on. And I've just recently re-picked it up again. But I have to say I'm already seeing the results from having picked it back up again. So.
What do you all think about, though, the idea of you know, there seem to be the school of email marketing that says you've got to get them out there frequently. I don't know about you all, but I get real tired. Actually, I like your email, Joe, because it doesn't come every 3 days. You know, every 3 days with the most important information I could probably ever read.
Yeah.
Because I noticed when I did
I'm a once a month girl,
Yeah,
or, you know,
when-
maybe an extra now and then with some special offer or something, but no, I
here's-
don't like spammy email marketing.
Right, and here's something else too. Well, it can be, you know, good content, stuff you want to read about social marketing or something. But one of the things I learned, and I will share this very, very important tip from psychology, is the variable interval ratio of reinforcement. That means infrequently, once in a while, random, something coming actually is a stronger reinforcer than every 3 days.
Yeah.
So,
I don't like the ones. I get a lot of
Yeah.
email. I have several email accounts because I divide. I have my email, and then I have my writers and authors email for the writers and authors website. Then I have the promo day email, which is separate from that as well, and then separate ones from other blogging as well, because I get such a high number of emails on all of the accounts that if I had them all in one single account, it would just be, I wouldn't be able to get to the bottom of it ever. It would just be too confusing to find things and reply to the right people and things. So I keep them separately.
you can't read it all. Yeah, you can't read it all.
No, it's too much. And the newsletters and things that I have signed up, I have to say I am very selective about the newsletters that I sign up for. They have to give me some kind of value. There has to be a reason for me to sign up for it. For example, there is very few author newsletters that I would actually sign up for, because most authors make the mistake of their newsletter being exclusively about buy my book, or this is my book,
Yes,
or this is the review I got for my book. And, you know, that gets very, very tired very, very quickly. And, like, from my point of view, I find that irritating, and I would not subscribe to that. So when I do my own newsletter, yes, I do put information about my books in them. You know, if I've got a new release coming up, or I'm doing a virtual book tour or whatever, I will put that information in there. But I also try to include some other kind of value piece of information for them. So, you know, whether it might be an inspiring quote, or I have a series of quick tips for authors, a video series, and I'll feature those in the newsletter and things as well, and I'll go a bit more in depth with those or whatever, so that they actually have a reason, other than, you know, wanting to know about my books. They actually have another reason for reading the newsletter as well. And, you know, they will want to read the newsletter so they can read my tips that can help them, that is of some value and benefit to them, and at the same time they will then see the latest updates about my books. Okay? That's how I feel about email marketing anyway. I think that rule kind of is valid for any kind of marketing, because the whole, you know, keeping a balance and offering value and, you know, thinking from your audience point of view. I think that applies to email marketing, but that also applies to your social media in general. You know, that applies to your website, even, you know, your blog, you know, whatever platform we're talking about. You have to offer some kind of value to your audience. Otherwise, they're just going to turn off, because there is so much content out there. You know, they're not starved for content. There is a huge number of websites, blogs, social media accounts. I mean, like, daily. If the number of users on social media is increasing that greatly, I think it's like Instagram had like 300 million people enroll, that like active users in the last year. If that many new users who are actively using it are on there, what is going to make you stand out? And if you do stand out, when they see your content, what is going to make them click the follow button? You know, what are you offering to them that makes you the person to follow and not one of the other 300 million?
Right.
Exactly.
Because I think, as I was saying earlier, like Clay mentioned about the fact that authors, we kind of concentrate maybe a little too much about ourselves, especially like new authors, and they don't sort of think about the bigger picture. But you have to sort of, it's just that two-way thing, you know. It's like, okay, I'm offering you this, okay, but it's something that you want. You know, I need to know what you want at the same time, so I know I'm pitching the right people. You know, and this is something else as well. I mean, how do you guys feel about the followers issue? Because like everyone's like, you know, social media, oh, I've got so many followers and, you know, that kind of thing. But I mean, for me, personally, it's just a number.
Yeah.
And I would much rather have a lower number of followers, but followers that are active and actually engaged with me than, you know, 50,000 that, you know, maybe 2 people are. I don't know, how do you guys feel about that?
That does make sense. Yeah, it definitely makes sense. I mean, the more followers you have, the more opportunities for that personal connection there are, but not everybody, not every one of your followers is going to take advantage of that personal connection. So it does make sense that you want to cultivate a smaller, more connected audience than a vast throng of just people who are just there on your followers list. I mean, unless you're just trying to show off numbers and stats to people, but it makes a lot more sense to have a small group that's actually connected to you. I've had to really try a lot of different things as far as Twitter goes because I was a complete newbie to Twitter when I first got published, and TC provided me some tips, and I talked to some other people who had a pretty fair number of followers and who had a pretty fair degree of interaction. I'm still working on the interaction part, you know. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it definitely comes down to you have to target your audience. You have to put yourself out there in the places where the people you want to see it are going to see it. So if, for example, we're talking about Twitter, then it would be making sure you're using the right hashtags so that the people will be searching, you know, for those topics and things that the stuff that you're talking about, you know, they're going to be using those hashtags. You have to think about it from their point of view as opposed to your point of view.
Yeah, and you have to think about that. It's like the Twitter, basically, to me, is like a brand new literary community. Because, you know, you can only say, what is it, 120 characters, right?
140.
Or 140 characters, and, you know, you've only got so much to say, and it really makes you think, what will impact with that many characters? A lot of people are long-winded, but if you can shorten it up into a smaller phrase and make it meaningful and powerful, people are going to listen.
Definitely. No, definitely. I totally agree. I think that's one of the things that I actually really like about Twitter is the fact that it makes people get to the point. You know, there's no waffling on or, you know, trying huge, big intros into something where you lose interest before you even get to, like, the main part. Twitter, basically, only have 140 characters. You have to basically just hit them with a killer headline. You know, you can include then a link where they can find out more information about what you're talking about. But you have to have that hook. And I think that's something that's important for authors as well because there's a lot of authors that tend to use a lot of words where they could use just a few. And I think that using Twitter, apart from being a very effective social media marketing tool, I think it's also good as a writer's tool because it makes you condense down. It makes you think only about the essential words that you need to be using. I agree. You know,
well, I think it also applies to if you go into try to get your book in a bookstore. You know, the managers only want to hear one sentence about you. And if you can grab their attention, they're more than likely will look into you.
Definitely. And you know something about that because tell us about your bookstore. Come on.
Well, I'm actually in the bookstore now, but it's called Tyward Books. It's located in Albertville, Alabama. you know, we cater for, you know, traditional self-published indie. You know, we're not like most bookstores. You know, most bookstores are very, very, very picky on what goes in, which is understandable. However, we like to have, it's a community out here. We're the only bookstore in our county, which means, you know, there's no competition here, and we don't mind if there was, but it would like a lot of people are now coming from all over just to come here, which is a great thing because the next closest place that anybody can get a book around here is an hour away.
Wow. I mean, like, this brings up a very interesting point about the publishing industry and books, like, in general. I mean, the whole the Amazon growing and being more dominant in things. There's been lots of discussion about whether print books actually have a future, or whether ebooks are going to take over, and, you know, print books will be history. I think that there is definitely still a market for print books, but also when you look at it, I mean, the number of bookstores that closed because of the economic crisis and things, you know, that kind of came into the question as well. So now it's the problem of, like, where do you buy the books from? Like, if you're saying you're the only bookstore in that whole area, then, you know, that's good for you guys, and I'm like, excellent job, because, you know, we need bookstores. We need to encourage reading. We need to get you know, people having books in their hands as well. We need to encourage the youth as well, children, to sort of get really excited about books and things.
Of course.
Bookstores is one way of doing that. But at the same time, it's very alarming that you are the only bookstore in such a large area.
That's true, and, you know, it's really hard business. I would not advise anybody starting up when it costs so much money. But the thing is, you know, it's really worth it. We just had some customers come in, so I'm fixing to help them. So you'll probably have to excuse me for just a minute. But yeah, you know, it's a big, you know, it's a big thing. We want to encourage every author to submit their book, you know, for consignment here. This is,
So
you know,
share the link. Where can people get in contact with you to be able to send you their book stocking?
Easily by going to our website at tywardbooks.com and leaving us a message, which is TYWARD. And the reason why it's called Tyward Books is very simple. It's because it's the middle name of both of my children put together. It's a legacy of literacy, so we want them to have that, you know, that legacy.
Excellent. Okay, well, I think we're almost at the end now. I mean, we've been talking about some major stuff. We've covered so much ground together. Thank you so much for joining me for this chat. Do any of you, let's just do a quick rundown. TC's just shared his there as well. I know he also has pdmipublishing.com, which is for the publishing house. Clay, what's your website?
childrenofaverill.com. That's the website for my science fiction series. And Averway, I better spell that part, EVOHE. So it's childrenofaverill.com.
Okay, excellent. And Susie, your website?
Oh, mine's really hard. 3 W's, SusieCaron.com.
Excellent.
It's SUSIECARON.
Brilliant. My own personal one as well, if you want to go and check it out, is jolinsdale.com. Very, very simple. You can also find me at writersandauthors.info, which is the website I have for people in the writing industry. It's all about sharing about books, interviewing authors, experts from books as well, so you can sample some books as well. Lots of guest posts about writing, book marketing, that kind of thing, so you can check that out as well. And then obviously Promo Day, which is the reason why we're all together today, which is promoday.info. The event is still going on. If you haven't registered yet, then you can still hop on over. Again, that's promoday.info. Just click on the register now button that you'll find at the top of the screen in the navigation button, and then you'll have access to the forums where all the main action takes place. You can also follow us on social media using the hashtag PD15. Okay, thank you very much for watching. Again, a big thank you to my 3 guests, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.
Thanks, Joe.
Bye.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Joe. Bye.